So before we continue with today's video, I want to talk to you guys about UK Soccer Shop. UK Soccer Shop has loads to offer, but in particular I really like the personalised gifts that they have to offer, as well as the t-shirts and a really cool concept kit which you can find on their website right now, all at an extremely affordable price. If you are interested, then make sure to check out uksoccershop.com using the link in the description down below to go check it out for yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel and the Scouting for Manchester United series, where today we have a rather familiar player, or certainly a player that will be familiar to those that were on the channel this time last year basically. This time last year I was saying that if United get Ten Hag, they should try and bring Ryan Gravenberch with him. It didn't happen, he went to Bayern. However, the rumours are circulating again, simply because he isn't getting any game time at Bayern. He's really struggling to get into the team. He's not being given enough opportunities. When he's being used in the wrong way. He's been poorly profiled. So I think there's the opportunity for a club to go in for him this summer. So should United be going in for him? Am I of the same opinion that I was last year? Well, the talk is 25 million. So that alone sparks my interest, because if you're talking about other players who are kind of similar to Gravenberch, maybe Jude Bellingham, he's about 100 million more. So the fact that Gravenberch is potentially available for 25 million when he is just 20 years old, you've got to be interested. You've got to have a look at it. So let's take a look basically at what Gravenberch is and whether or not his profile is right for actually what United needs this time round. And we're going to start with the basic FBref report, which is from the last 365 days in Europe's top 5 leagues and the Champions League. Unfortunately though, we haven't actually got a massive sample size here. Simply because, like I said, he hasn't really been used with Bayern, and his numbers last season with Ajax weren't in Europe's top 5 leagues, so they don't actually go into this. His Champions League performances would have, but he didn't actually get too far, so these aren't the greatest numbers to go too in depth. However, we kind of get a base idea. We're kind of seeing those shot creating actions, those non-penalty XG, the passes attempted and pass completion a little bit low, but then things like successful take-ons, progressive carries, and progressive passes received being higher. So we need to figure out, what is Gravenberch? Because this doesn't give the full picture. And we haven't seen the full picture since he's been at Bayern. And this is why Bayern are willing to let him go. They only signed him last summer, but already it looks like they might be giving up on him. However, if there is one man that can get Gravenberch back to his best, it's Erik Ten Hag. Because he's the one who got him to that brilliant pinnacle in the first place a year ago at just 19 years old. Gravenberch is a wonderful, wonderful talent, one of the best young players in the world. I truly believe that. If coached and kind of developed correctly and with a bit of luck of injuries, I think he will be one of the best midfielders in world football. So let's take a look at how Ten Hag can get him back to his best. Before we can do that though, we need to look at how Ten Hag got him playing so well before. So what we're going to do is take a look at last season's heat map. So this is his heat map when he was with Ajax under Ten Hag in the Eredivisie last season. And what we can see is that he's very much a left-sided central midfielder who's going to really push forward into the final third. He will do some work dropping deeper, as we can see there in the heat map, but it's not really his game. So he isn't necessarily a first phase player. You know, we can kind of see that area on the left-hand side of the heat map. He isn't dropping deep to get the ball all the time, compared to if we look higher up the pitch. So if we kind of picture that in the Manchester United team, he'd probably be in the place of Christian Eriksen. I'm not sure he is the player to come all the way deep here and kind of help play out from the back. He is someone who wants to push a little bit more into this area. Again, kind of how the likes of Fred have been used this season, Sabitzer at times, Eriksen in certain games, Bruno Fernandes. We have seen this role at United this season. So, I guess the maybe downside is that he doesn't tick the box of being that press-resistant midfielder that I think United need. Now, some people will disagree with that because he's good at dribbling and good at carrying the ball forward, and it was actually mentioned in a video the other week. Gravenberch is excellent on the ball. He is an excellent dribbler, an excellent ball carrier. However, he tends to do his ball carrying in the middle third up towards the final third. He doesn't tend to do it in his first phase. If you watch Ajax from last season, when they played out from the back, they would often actually push Gravenberch a little bit higher, so he wasn't too involved in build-up. Yes, he would occasionally drop deeper and get the ball in these areas, but it wasn't a massive part of his game. So, if he was to sign for United, I'm not sure he is that first phase player that people want. However, maybe Ten Hag doesn't want that. Maybe Ten Hag wants someone who can progress the ball through the pitch. So not do that first phase play, but then in the middle third, really provide great ball progression. And if that's the case, then Gravenberch would be your man. Take-ons attempted, successful take-ons, carries, total carrying distance, progressive carrying distance, progressive carries, carries into the final third, carries into the penalty area. He's a really, really good dribbler. And this is something which United don't currently have in their midfield. I've said it a few times recently that Fernandes, for example, has had a good season, but he's not someone which is going to dribble the ball up the pitch. Gravenberch is that. And In a way, he's kind of Paul Pogba-esque with his dribbling, with an extra bit of speed. But in the way that he uses his body and kind of holds off opposition players and then uses a bit of quick footwork, a bit of quick skill to then carry the ball forward, is really Pogba-esque and it's really impressive. He's a very, very good ball carrier. And what this would allow United to do on a more frequent basis is kind of break the pressure in the middle third, maybe even a mid-block, break those tight compact spaces with someone like Gravenberch, who is able to take players out of the game himself because he's so good at dribbling. United really lack that player. They need that profile in midfield. Gravenberch certainly ticks that box. And it's exactly how Ten Hag used him last season. If we go back to the heat map, we can see that he's pushing forward, carrying the ball forward, being aggressive with the ball at his feet, looking to get the team moving up the pitch. And I think we would see something similar. The problem, or kind of on the flip side of that, is perhaps at times his game is a bit too focused on dribbling. If we're making that Paul Pogba comparison, Pogba was a really good ball carrier, really good in tight spaces, but also he was excellent at passing as well. And, attempted a lot of passes during a 90-minute match. Gravenberch, again, isn't quite there on that front. If we look at his passing numbers from the past 365 days, these aren't too great. Passes attempted only in the 65th percentile, pass completion the 68th percentile, pass completion for short, medium and long, none of them are particularly impressive. Passes attempted long, really low, only in the 8th percentile. This isn't a high volume player. So, this is just where the question marks kind of come in with Gravenberch. Quality-wise, absolutely phenomenal footballer. There's a reason Bayern went and signed him last summer, because he is absolutely phenomenal. He is so good. The question is he what Ten Hag needs in this team? Because what we talk about a lot is United's need for either a first phase player, or a high volume player, a real dictator in the middle third, or a good ball progressor. Gravenberch is certainly the latter, but is he good enough at the first two to still be of use in other situations? That's where the question is basically, because again, if we go back to this isn't that impressive. However, if we then think back to last season, under Ten Hag at Ajax, the numbers were much higher than this. His passes attempted were higher, his passes completed in terms of short, medium, long range passing were all improved. It might just be a case of he isn't being used right with Bayern. Also, what you've got to consider is last season he was playing every game, he was in a rhythm every 3 or 4 days, he's starting, playing matches, winning matches. With Bayern, he's averaging 19 minutes per match, per appearance. So it's very difficult to get momentum and rhythm to your game when you simply aren't playing. So again, that might be why Gravenberch's numbers are lower, especially the completion rate. Maybe he's just got that bit of rust to him, simply because he isn't being used on a regular enough basis. Now, whilst he isn't currently really being used as a player which drops deep and completes a lot of passes, what he is still being used as is a player which gets forward into the final third. And again, this is what would be asked of him at United. We've seen Eriksen from this position push forward this season. We've seen Fred do it, we've seen Sabitzer do it. Fernandes, when he plays on the left, is also asked to push forward. Gravenberch would be asked to do something similar, and again, it's something he done brilliantly under Ten Hag before. And I thought that his work when he got into the final third under Ten Hag was brilliant. He really, again, comes to life a bit like Paul Pogba. We suddenly see those quick feet in confined spaces, that bit of skill, but also that strength to hold a man off, the ball carrying ability. If we go back to earlier, we saw those carries into the final third, but also the carries into the penalty area, the 88th and the 89th percentile. Gravenberch really does contribute in the final third. And what he will also do is create chances for people. Shot creating actions, the 95th percentile. And all of these are different ways in which you kind of create shots, basically. But what we can see is he's ranking really well. Really well. This is a guy who will get your team into shooting positions, and it is what Ten Hag needs from his side. We know those rotations down the left-hand side that United so often use. Sometimes Rashford will come inside, the midfielder will go wide, but sometimes this midfielder is asked to break into the box. Gravenberch loves to do that. Now, once in these positions, I think a bit of refinement is needed. Yes, these shot-creating actions are very good, the numbers are very decent. However, at times he can be a little bit sloppy still. I think he needs to improve in this area. And I think that's where I'm frustrated the most. Because it's stuff that I was saying this time last year, and because Bayern have, I don't want to say mistreated him, but misused him, we haven't seen him develop. And therefore, a top player, a really top player, has kind of missed out on a year of development, which is really disappointing for the sport, basically. Because he's a great footballer. And like I said earlier, I think if given the time, given a bit of luck with injuries, given the right environment to develop, I think he's a top player. Potentially a future elite player. I think he is one of the best young midfielders in all of Europe at the moment. I really do think he is very good. It's a shame we haven't seen him develop in the way that we would have liked. And it's kind of that which puts the question mark over a transfer for me. This time last season I was saying, yes, go sign him, because he was working with Ten Hag, playing regularly, playing really well. He's kind of missed out on a year of that.
So is he still the right option? I'm actually not too sure. Most players I come to some sort of conclusion where, like, even if I'm not sure on the quality, I'm aware of the profile, whether I think they're right or not. I'm genuinely not sure with Gravenberch, simply because this year he just hasn't been used in the right way. Now, to be fair, Ten Hag has likened him to Paul Pogba in the past, but saying he's the more tactically intelligent version. So maybe if he really rates his tactical intelligence that highly, he could be used in different roles to what we've seen. He could be someone which drops deep and offers a bit of press resistance, but also link play in these areas. And also, that kind of the worry about his final third product, that will improve with age. You know, you get used to being in different situations, that experience, it helps you in those situations. You know what to do at the right moment. So I'm not worried about that. It's a little bit sloppy in the final third at times. I'm not worried about that. All players refine with age. Gravenberch, though, does he do enough in the other areas of the pitch? I'm genuinely really unsure. And I would love to get the opinion of some of you guys. If you're Bayern fans maybe, if you're big watchers of the Bundesliga, or if you watched a lot of Ajax last season, what was Gravenberch doing? Is he the right sort of player for United? For me personally, like I've already said, he isn't that first phase 8 which is going to drop deep and help you out the press. I just don't think he does that. I don't think it's his skill set. He's much better in the middle third of the pitch, where I will say his ball carrying is elite. There are not many better players in Europe at carrying the ball through a pitch. Like I said, he uses that brilliant size, strength, but also incredible footwork and skill. He's absolutely brilliant. In the final third, perhaps his finishing or at times his final pass could improve, but in general he will create a lot of opportunities from this sort of left half space. Again, exactly where United want their midfielder to play. So I think you can probably kind of see why I've got that bit of uncertainty, because there's certain things here where he's really ticking the boxes. He is very good in the middle third. He is a brilliant ball progressor, both with his passing, but especially his ball carrying, his dribbling, very, very good. He's also very creative in the final third. He gets into good shooting positions, and also off the ball, he works really hard. He's good defensively. Tactically, he's very, very aware. But it's just that question over, is he a player which wants the ball enough? Does he get on the ball enough, or does he just drift out of games a little bit? At the moment, I think he drifts a bit too much. However, what I will say, like I said right at the start, is that if anyone is going to get the best out of Gravenberch, it probably is Erik Ten Hag. And I would hate to see him go somewhere else, because I think there's a real special talent in there. Like, a real special talent. We're not talking about a player who's going to be decent in a few years' time. This guy could be top 5 midfielders in the world in a few years. He really is that good, that special as a player. It's just about unlocking him. Is Ten Hag the man to do that? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Apart from that, I think that's all I've got to say for today's video. It's a little bit of a different one. We haven't come to quite as much of a conclusion, and that is probably the best way to sum up what Gravenberch has been going through in the past 9 months to a year now. Not being used enough, which makes it a little bit difficult to judge him. He's maybe lost his way a bit in the sense of what is his style, what is his game. He needs to be put on the back on the right track, whether that's at United or a Liverpool or a different club. I don't know, but I'd like to see him kind of get that chance to really flourish again, because he hasn't been given that opportunity at Bayern, but for me, he deserves it. So like I said, let me know what you think. What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? Is he the right signing for Manchester United? Is he the right profile? Does the fact that he's worked with Ten Hag in the past really help him? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the video, and as always, I will see you in the next one.